pleasant good evening to you wherever you may be. Welcome into the Midstate 48, powered by Miracle Auto Group. Chris Brooks and the rest of the gang with you on this Wednesday evening. Hope you're having a great week so far, guys. Good evening to you.
Yo.
How's it going, Chris? I love that theme song, by the way. Is dun 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 dun. I mess with the cat because it's dun 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 dun. Reg.
You're giving people ideas. He's going to have like merch and stuff later this year, I'm sure. Now after his surge in popularity,
he's working his way to be an Antioch's mascot.
His wicked run on the picks continues, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. I'm going to try to talk as little as possible tonight because my voice is not 100%. So I'm going to throw it to the three of y'all to talk about last week briefly and just kind of what you guys took away from those games in week number 6. And Joe, start us off.
Yeah, I was at Centennial Nolensville, huge region matchup between two undefeated teams that it was lived up to the hype. Kind of a defensive battle in that one where you had two teams that were scoring a lot of points this year, but the defenses really shine. Centennial gets out to a 2-touchdown lead. Nolensville immediately cuts into that second half. Then they tie it. Then final drive of the game. I am in my lighting in my bedroom is not very good, Matt. But Centennial at the end of the game, final drive, just a great drive, driven by Elijah Nieves, and he connects with Kenai Johnson for a huge gain that gets him in field goal range, and they score the game-winning touchdown or field goal at the end. So, great region matchup, and I think both teams have a really bright future ahead.
I got to post this real quick. Matt says, "Why is Joe in the dungeons?" And now you know why.
My lighting is just not good.
That might be the question of the year so far. All right, Cam, you're up.
Didn't get a chance. I was out of town this weekend, so I didn't get a chance to watch any live action. But just looking at the scores and catching up on a couple games, that Ravenwood Independence game, I actually did get a chance to watch a little bit of that one. And Independence coming off a big win against Beach looked kind of a little flat coming out of the gate, although they did force 4 Ravenwood turnovers. But Coach Hester's team really showed a lot of resolve in that game, scoring to what most would think would tie it up, and then having the extra point blocked with just about 4 minutes to go, getting a stop defensively, and then going down the field to kick the game-winning field goal under 30 seconds left. Just the resolve from that team was very impressive. And they're really quietly. I believe they're 5-1 now after a first week loss to Alcoa. So they're a 6A team that not a lot of people are talking about. And then also, the teams like East Robertson, the teams like Friendship Christian that had been dominant and expected to win those region matchups last week, ultimately fall because of mistakes. East Robertson had nearly 200 yards of penalties. Friendship Christian put the ball on the ground a few times. And ultimately, when in games like that where you're playing other good competition, games like what you're going to get in the playoffs, when you make mistakes like that, it costs you games. And unfortunately for those teams, it probably cost them home field advantage in the playoffs.
Well, yeah, you're talking about the East Robertson game. That was a very strange game. The flow of that game was non-existent. It was constantly disrupted. If it wasn't penalties, it was a disrupted. It was a malfunctioning clock, or it was TV timeouts. I mean, there was just no flow whatsoever. But the first half, honestly, East Robertson moved the ball probably better than Smith County, but mistakes absolutely just killed them. They'd get a drive going and get a penalty. It was kind of 1 step forward, 2 steps back. But truthfully, Smith County kept them in the game. Had missed 2 field goals in the first half. We go to halftime scoreless. I thought that both teams probably should have felt fortunate to be that way. Turnovers for East Robertson as well were a factor, but not a whole lot of running room there for either team. But I thought East Robertson was better in the first half. Second half, Smith County changes their system. They go to passing against East Robertson, which let me tell you, Riley Martin just looked incredible for a freshman. He didn't look like one. He started to hit passes, started opening things up. Riley Lawler and Javier Gaspar started shutting down the run. Uh, they really East Robertson really couldn't get again a flow going, and the same penalties and mistakes caught up with them. Finally, they get a touchdown pass. Smith County does. They go up. They make a tremendous error, and I don't know whether it was a miscommunication or what, but they go for a fake punt deep inside their own territory. Gives the ball to East Robertson. East Robertson scores the next play. Brooks with the touchdown, and it really looks like we're headed to overtime. And then 2 minutes left in the game, East Robertson turns the ball over in their own territory. A couple plays later, Smith County again with a touchdown pass. It was really a strange flow to the game with all the turnovers and mistakes and everything else like that. But let me tell you, this Smith County defense is for real, and that offense is catching up to them very, very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much summed it up just right, Scott. There was no flow whatsoever to that game, and East Robertson's penalties. Every time they would move the ball downfield, it would get called back.
Mm-hmm.
And every time they had some momentum, another flag. 16 of them in total. And can't win doing that, and they'll learn from that, obviously. But Smith County was impressive, defensively especially. And they have the inside track on that region now as a result.
Yep.
All right. Let's go ahead and jump right into our player of the week. Goodness, that's brought to you, as always, by Miracle Auto Group. And I'm going to let Cam handle this portion of the program since he has it pulled up as well.
Yeah, we have 6 finalists. Jared Curtis from Nashville Christian was 14 of 26 for 333 yards and 5 touchdowns in their 39-36 win over Grace Christian. Then Brooks Jones from Middle Tennessee Christian had 23 total tackles, 12 solo, caught 1 pass for 5 yards, recovered an offensive fumble for a touchdown, and averaged 44 yards per punt on 3 attempts in their big 16-14 win over Friendship Christian. Justice Law from Stratford was 13 of 25 passing for 275 yards and 4 touchdowns. He also ran 9 times for 101 yards and 2 scores in the Spartans' 53-14 win over Republic. Aubrey Link from Red Bull and Springs, 3 for 244 yards and 4 touchdowns. Also ran the football for 49 yards and a touchdown. Returned an interception for a touchdown. Made 10 tackles on defense, 3 of those for tackles for loss, and also kicked 5 extra points in the Bulldogs' 42-21 win over Perry County. Donnie Morris from Oakland had 13 carries for 183 yards and 3 scores in the Patriots' 35-0 win over Rockville. He also had 3 receptions for 75 yards and another touchdown. Caden Powell from Beach is our last finalist. 6 of 9 passing for 221 yards and 2 touchdowns. Rushed the football 10 times for 51 yards and 3 touchdowns in the Buccaneers' 34-14 victory at Hendersonville.
All right, the fans' vote went to Aubrey Link, 58.8%. And Scott also went with Aubrey Link.
I did. The stat line was just incredible. You know, special teams contributions, defensive contributions that turned into touchdowns, directly into touchdowns, plus the offensive leadership on that side of the ball. I mean, let's face it, he did. He probably cut the grass and lined the field before the game. I mean, he was just Mr. Do-It-All.
Joe went with Brooks Jones.
Yeah, 23 tackles in a game. He also recovered an offensive fumble for a touchdown. He did a little bit of everything for MTCS in their huge region matchup with Friendship Christian. Also, former punter He averaged 44 yards per punt on 3 attempts. That flips the field. That's huge. It probably doesn't get talked about enough. He was Mr. Do-It-All for MTCS and a huge win.
Okay, Cam went with Brooks Jones as well.
I did. Joe said it best. I mean, 23 tackles is a ridiculous number, especially in a matchup where, to this point of the year, nobody's been able to stop Tyson Walcott. And for the most part, the Cougars held him in check mainly because of the play of Brooks Jones. So I had to go with him for this great defensive effort.
So it's my vote that's going to break the tie, and I'm going to be the bad guy here. I'm going with Aubrey Link. Scott said it best. He did it all. And when you do everything in all 3 phases of the game, and you have a significant role in the scoring in all 3 phases of the game, that's kind of tough to beat. And I nearly went with Brooks Jones, but Aubrey Link had that kind of game that is just kind of hard to beat. And so congratulations to Red Bowling Springs, Aubrey Link. He is our player of the week, brought to you by Miracle Auto Group. And we'll get some hardware to swing by there very, very soon. On to our Line of the Week award, also presented, as always, by Miracle Auto Group. Cam, you've got the finalists.
Yes, DCA's defense, Wildcats allowed 85 total yards, made 4 tackles for loss, and held Mount Juliet Christian to 5 first downs in a 54-0 victory. The Oakland Patriot defense held Rockville to 146 yards and 4 first downs and recorded 4 sacks. Pearl Cone's defense held Station Camp to 85 yards in a 55-0 victory. And the Springfield Yellow Jacket defense allowed 107 total yards, forced 3 fumbles, and recovered 1 in a 35-0 victory at Portland.
All right. And the fan voting is in, and that will go to the Oakland Patriot defense, 32.5% of the vote going their way. So got our ceremonial hard hat to swing by and deliver to you guys as well. So congratulations to the Oakland defense. There are Line of the Week presented by Miracle Auto Group. Scott, you've got something you want to add?
Yeah, just I mean, if you're watching this and you have somebody that you thought should have been on these lists or been under consideration, odds are if their stats line was that good, we didn't get the stats on that. And so, we can only go by what we can confirm by getting the stats. So if you have somebody like that, then find a way to get us stats information so we can confirm it and then move forward.
So players and parents watching, that means tell the head coach to tell the statistician to send us stats. That's what that means.
And do it before 5 o'clock Sunday.
Please.
Please and thank you. All right. So congratulations to Aubrey Link and the Oakland defense for winning our Players of the Week awards presented by Miracle Auto Group. Now let's hear from those fine folks up there in Galvin, shall we?
Hi, everyone. It's Jim Galvin, Miracle Ford, your Ford dealer in Gallatin, Tennessee since 1980. Great news. Beginning now, when you need service, we can come to you.
Our mobile service van comes to you wherever you are. Whether you need oil change, lube, routine maintenance, warranty, filters, wiper blades, batteries, bulbs, recalls, and more.
Visit our website
or call us now.
Are you ready for a miracle?
I've definitely got to check into that mobile service because it's hard for me to get down to Gallatin during the week. That's definitely something that I'm glad they offer.
Yeah, just call our buddy Colin there that you saw in the film, and he'll get you scheduled, and they'll come out and do the oil change at your house or at your work if your work allows that.
Yep.
All right. It's that time of the week again where we have to atone for our, not sins, but our grievances, or whatever you want to call it. So, boys, it's time to make some apologies. Which one of y'all would like to go first?
I'll go first.
All right, Joe. The floor is yours.
A big part of my Player of the Week vote this week was because of how poorly I did with that pick last week. I knew it was 2 undefeated teams, and I made the mistake of going off the past. Friendship Christian had MTCS's number, and I said, well, they'll just do it again. MTCS, you've proved me wrong. You made me look like a fool, and I'll go out and say it right now. You're looking like the favorite in D2A right now with the way you guys are playing on every phase of the game. I am genuinely sorry for picking against you. Granted, it could have gone either way. It was a big matchup. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, but I made the wrong pick, and for that, I am sorry.
All right.
Go to Cam. I want to make them wait.
I will allow it.
Another one that hits close to home. Several friends at this school, people that I've met covering high school football, and this apology goes out to the Gallatin Green Wave, and most importantly, more precise, that Gallatin Green Wave defense and Coach Clemens. The performance that I got to witness against Hendersonville in Week 1 was clearly not one of normalcy for you guys, as you have righted the ship on defense and you come out and beat a previously undefeated team in Green Hill. And for that, and for the words last week, I apologize. Congratulations on a huge region win, and I hope you guys can continue stepping forward as the season progresses.
All right, Scott, your turn.
Beach. I can't believe that I'm in this position. Yeah, I was wrong. You led me the week before when I picked you and came to see you, and you broke my heart. And I guess I was just taking it out on you instead of following my heart. I thought that you were just a caterpillar, just in your chrysalis, and that's all you'd ever be. But you blossomed into a beautiful butterfly, and boy, did you fly! I am very sorry that I picked against you in that region game, and I hope you can forgive me. Not you, Matt.
That was beautiful.
Yeah.
I felt that in my heart.
I think we should hand you the award for this week, and I don't even have to worry about it.
Let's face it, we all have to apologize to Reggie.
Matt is rolling, just so you know.
Oh yeah, definitely. But before I get to mine, which was already pre-recorded, thankfully, since my voice is still like garbage. But we have our first apology from a viewer, and it's from Mr. Burns.
Oh man, that was low.
It says, I have an apology. Sorry for calling you Scott of the game, Chris. All good. You're forgiven. It was nice to meet you at the game too. So I appreciate the apology. Appreciate the shout outs.
Scott, Chris, they both have vowels.
Okay. And last but not least, what I told the many players.
Absolutely played your butts off tonight. You earned this right here in a tough place to play, and I'm impressed by your resolve and your toughness and your will to win and all the adversity you fought through tonight. Well done, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. He's going to pitch with this.
We're going to re-rack that and try this again.
Guys, I'm sorry. Yeah. Y'all absolutely played your butts off tonight. You earned this right here in a tough place to play, and I'm impressed by your resolve and your toughness and your will to win and all the adversity you fought through tonight. Well done, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. He's going to pitch with this. 3 weeks in a row I've done this live, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah. What you didn't see there was all the other players standing around watching Chris apologize.
Well, they thoroughly enjoyed that. So
I have to say though, I'm just a touch disappointed.
why?
I wanted you to apologize to Matt just to see what he would say.
Matt was busy with I think at
Yeah.
that point.
Yeah, the TV was breaking in on that one. So
Have you guys noticed a trend in the last 3 weeks with the video apologies? It's where
Uh-oh.
Scott's at. Father Ryan, Independence, East Robert or Smith County.
Yeah, I'm a harbinger of chaos.
well, I've done video apologies the last 3 weeks too. So
No. I did it last week. We did Independence. Remember?
that's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe it's the
So just
Scott-
to put everybody on alert, he will be at Oakland and Siegel tomorrow night, and then
FRA
Friday night.
date.
FRA on Friday.
Yep.
yeah. So
So-
stay tuned for those picks that are coming here in just a few minutes because
Yeah.
we're going
Remember,
to figure out.
We don't do spreads on this.
Not yet.
No, I don't think y'all want to see some of those numbers.
No.
So, all right. Tune in next week where we will apologize to a few more teams as the world turns. All right. Before we get into the picks, let's hear a little bit more from Miracle Auto Group.
Hi everyone, it's Jim Galvin, Miracle Ford. Great news, beginning now. When you need service, we can come to you.
I think this program is great because as a college student who doesn't have time to go anywhere or do anything, this program really helped me just to get my car worked on. I could stay in work and continue to do my job. It's convenient, it's super quick, not expensive at all, so it's a great program. I really recommend it. Just give it a check out.
Are you ready for the miracle?
Yeah, this next part I'm not looking forward to. But contractually we have to do it. That's who you got.
I was going to see if His Majesty was going to join us, but he appears to be enjoying a nap.
He's doing what he usually does.
Yeah, embarrassing me.
All right. We'll take a moment to acknowledge King Reggie because he's quickly becoming. Well, I'm not going to say it. Becoming more of a nuisance than anything to the rest of us. But
I mean, look at the told you so's.
I know it. At this point, it's beyond explanation. But his 2-week run on this show is about as good as any of us have ever done. So we can't really knock it.
They say the NFL has a script. I think high school football does, and Reggie knows it all.
He's found it. And he ain't talking.
No.
Everybody's watching. Y'all can see that on the screen. I'm not going to go over it.
Oh, of course, now you won't when a certain name is on top of both boards.
Well, you get
Take
to
a
look at
picture of it. Mom, take a picture of it. This will never happen again.
It
I'm
is
just
close,
glad to
though.
not see my name at the bottom.
Oh, thanks for that, Cam. Yeah, great. It is close between all of us, though. It's only like 4 games apart. This part of the year, that's very surprising. So,
Yeah, we're overachieving.
On to those picks, and we'll start it. Actually, we'll go back over last week, even though I really don't want to. All those stars by Reggie's names are the Told You So's, Antioch Gallatin Station Camp, or Smith County, excuse me. And a lot of red elsewhere. And the fans didn't do all that well either. 3-7.
Wow.
So let's take a good look at that. Hopefully it never happens again. Let's go with Davidson Academy and FRA to kick it off. And everybody here on FRA, including Reggie, but like we said, Scott's going to be at that game tomorrow on Friday night. And
Yeah.
now I'm concerned.
Yeah, I'm like bad luck schlep rock on the Flintstones, I guess. FRA averaging 167 yards on the ground. Ty Clark is a huge part of that. 766 yards the rest of the season. I think they're going to want to continue that trend, that run. They're going to try to keep, but they're going to do that. They're going to have to keep Glenn Seabrooks out of the backfield. that'll go a long way to keeping. If they can do that, it'll go a long way to keep Knox Roberts off the field for Davidson Academy, because that's where their offense seems to run through. They do go the air. Minor Ballou for FRA has 3 picks on the season. It's going to be a tall task, I think, for Davidson Academy to win this one. I like FRA.
Yeah, I think you got a great matchup here to watch Friday night, Scott. This Davidson Academy team is a team that's 6-0 that, not knocking the competition that they've played, but they've not played anyone to this caliber yet. And FRA was kind of on cruise control and kind of come out last week against their best opponent to date in East Nashville and kind of struggled at first and before kicking it into overdrive and pulling away in that one 42-21. So this is kind of a conflicting matchup because we're not really confident in what how good Davidson Academy is. And then the FRA team that showed their first signs of struggling last week. So, but ultimately, FRA's talent is really what led me to pick the Panthers.
Yeah, I agree with what Cam said there. I mean, Davidson Academy, you look at the schedule, haven't really beaten up on a good team yet. They're putting teams away though, which is what you're supposed to do. I was just impressed with the way FRA responded last week against East Nashville, where they're down 14-7. Then East Nashville, they tie it up, and then East Nashville scores quickly, and it's 21-14. But then they rattle off 28 straight points for that 42-21 win. I think this FRA team is loaded. I think their passing game is very underrated. They've been putting up some numbers these last couple weeks. I think this could be a pretty high-scoring game, but I think in the end, FRA does a little bit more.
It really boils down for me to how well Davidson Academy can take care of covering both Ty Clark and Bobby Council. Council had a big game last week too, and we don't talk about him very much, but he's an important part of that offense and defense too. So get him in check, and you've got a chance against him. But if you don't, then this could be a long night for the Bears. And I took FRA because I think overall the talent, I think, is a little bit deeper on that side. All right. Dixon County and Rossview up next. Not East Nashville and Smyrna. We'll get that in a minute. Dixon County at Rossview. Fans are siding with the Cougars 62.4%, and so is Reggie. And then the rest of us are sitting here with Rossview's pick.
I like to change my pick.
Rossview's pitched 4 straight shutouts, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Defensively, they are tremendous. Dixon County gave up quite a bit on the running game last week. Of course, I believe it was against Clarksville, so everybody's had trouble with them. Rossview's another good running team, and I think that with that defense and the ability to control the clock, it just points the arrow in Rossview's direction.
You said the word defense. Defense is the word of this game, and I think Rossview's got the better defense. They win a low-scoring slugfest, 21-14.
Yeah, Rossview's outscored their last 4 opponents, 131-0. One of those games was a 10-0 win over West Creek. I think Dixon County's probably better than each of those 4 teams they've beaten in that run, but I think their defense does enough, and I think this offense has gotten things clicking because they've been able to score so many points these last few weeks.
Big game for number 2 in this region. Rossview's defense obviously has the chops. I think Dixon County does find the end zone a couple times. It keeps it close, but ultimately I'll go with the team that's in better form the last 5 weeks since Rossview.
But I don't feel comfortable now.
No. No. What does Reggie know? We're still trying to find that out. East Nashville and Smyrna is up next. This one, the TV game this week. 70.8% of the fans on East Nashville. Nobody siding with Smyrna this weekend. And even though Smyrna just got into the win column not too long ago, it looks like East Nashville's coming in here after the loss to FRA pretty hot.
Yeah, East Nashville didn't drop in our small class rankings for the simple fact of they put on a really good showing at FRA, a team that's really, really good. And they led for most of that game. I know in the second half, maybe some depth took over. FRA a little deeper of a team, put up some numbers. But I just think this East Nashville team, they're going to bounce back. Smyrna's had its struggles this year, and East Nashville. I think their young guys, the sophomore backs that they have that have been putting on shows week in and week out, have some big nights on Friday.
Yeah, I thought East Nashville responded well from a performance that they were not happy with the Liberty Creek game. Although they were able to win 27-13, I thought they responded well against a really good FRA team. I think they respond well again. And as you said, Chris, maybe come out a little hot, and that does not fare well for Smyrna.
I think the key to this game is going to be Keith Johnson, the back for East Nashville. I think that he's got 631 yards, 12 touchdowns on the year, and I think that East Nashville want to shy away from throwing, especially in Thomas Jones' direction. He's somebody can take it to the house at any time. So I think that East will run the ball early and often. I think it's a defensive struggle for a while, but I think eventually there's just too much talent on the East Nashville side to keep the score, keep them off the board.
Yes, Smyrna has definitely played better as of late, but I think East Nashville is going to want to send a message and respond well after the loss to FRA last week, and I expect them to do it. So I'm going with the Eagles there as well. Hendersonville at Springfield, and this basically is for playoff seating in that region. We are all on Hendersonville, so 81.2% of the fans with the Commandos, and Reggie's on the Commandos, so I'm sure that makes everybody else feel better about that.
Yeah, I think this Springfield team is just really young. Probably still another year away from really being able to pull one off. But I tell you what, that's CJ Cobbins. With him on the field, you never can tell. I liked Hendersonville with this just because I think they're going to come out a little bit mad after last week. That line's going to get out and insert themselves, and I think I'm expecting a big night out of Mason Baker.
Ditto. Mason Baker, I expect a big night for him. Springfield really struggled a few weeks back with a freshman quarterback that came in for station camp in that game and struggled with streaks down the middle. And Hendersonville's got speed, and even if they work on dropping back and getting that covered, Mason Baker is one of the best dual threat guys in our area. So look for him to have a big night as the Commandos pick up a win that should, barring any unforeseen circumstances, lock in at least the 3 seed for them.
Yeah, Hendersonville with just a really poor showing last week. It's simple as that. And I'm sure they want to get that bad taste out of their mouth. They know they're better than that final score that they put up against Beach. I think they come out this week. Mason Baker, if he's a player of the week candidate this week, it wouldn't shock me because I think he's in for a big night.
I will say one thing, Chris, I apologize for breaking in here in front of you, but I think that Hendersonville has to know where CJ Cobbins is at all times. They can't afford to throw a pick. He'll return it. They can't afford to kick it to him. Kick the ball out of bounds, squib kick it on kickoffs. Just keep the ball away from CJ Cobbins.
I mean, he's kind of like Caleb Carver was last year for Green Hill. That's a dude you just you do not voluntarily give him the football.
Right.
Scott, I'm glad you said it, so I don't have to. That's pretty much kind of my thinking as well. I think Hendersonville does have enough ways to keep it away from him, at least enough to get the win here. Hillsborough at Nolensville. Nolensville. Cam saw it first. Reggie's on Hillsborough, and the rest of us have the Knights. And the fans at 85.8% taking Nolensville here. All right, guys.
We really need to see this game out of Hillsborough. This is going to be the game for them because the opponents they beat this year are combined 6-23. I mean, they only have one win on the season, and that was to the 4-2 team, Stewart's Creek, was the only loss they had. I'm sorry, the only loss they had. Yep. Was to the only winning team on their record, and they're going up against a very what I can assume to be a very angry Nolensville squad that lost on the last-second field goal.
Yeah, you talked about this is the game for Hillsborough. last week was the game for Nolensville for us to finally get the chance to see what they had, and they had a really good showing against Centennial. They were right there in that football game, wound up giving up a field goal late to lose that one 17-14. But, that showed me enough to pick them. I feel more confident in them than I do Hillsboro at the moment. Although the Burros have been able to put up more points this year than they have in the last couple years. So that offense definitely has some talent to be able to put up the points like that. So, but I think Paul Derrick will have his team remotivated and ready to go this week.
I think the Nolensville defense, how they come out and on the first couple of drives, will really set the tone for this. I'm sure they're not happy with given how that last week's game ended. Zion Tomaska is a stud. He ran the ball really well last week. I think a guy that we're going to be talking about the next couple of years, though, he's only a sophomore, Oliver Bender. I think he's the heir to Chance Fitzgerald. I mean, this kid's big. He's got great hands. He made some impressive catches that kept drives alive for Nolensville last week. Now, they couldn't score on him until later in the game. But I think this kid he is going to be huge these next couple of years, and I think he's going to put on a show this week.
One other person.
Yeah. Sorry.
I'm sorry, Chris. I keep jumping in, but I missed somebody I want to talk about, and that was Joseph Carano, who's got 4 sacks. I think he's going to. Hillsboro's going to have to count to him. They cannot afford to get lazy with the ball, though, because this Nolensville team has 8 picks on the season.
Yeah, this is a good chance for Hillsboro to prove itself in this region. And I think Nolensville is going to be mad they let one get away last week. And to me, that's enough for them to give them the nod here. But I expect it to be a close game here. I think Hillsboro is pretty legit, but they have to kind of show it a little bit more in the field too. Middle Tennessee Christian at South Pitt. We're split across the board. I'm going with the Cougars here. The fans are going with the Cougars, and so is Reggie. I feel pretty good about it.
You going with the Cougars or you going with Reggie?
I'm going with Reggie.
Why are you going with Reggie, Chris?
Because somebody's going to figure it out, and it might as well be me.
That's a perk of being the person that's putting in the picks, I guess.
Honestly, though, I think, we talk about letdown games after big wins like that. I don't think this is a spot that's a letdown game. They have to focus. They get to go on the road into a tough environment and really find out what they're made of in that type of situation. They've already proven they can beat the number 1 team in Division II single A. They get to do it against the number 1 team in Class 1A, which I think it's fairly even. But I like the way this MTCS squad is playing right now. And, in these types of games, I tend to side with the Division II team. I just do.
So, have you been to Bean Stadium?
I have been by there, yes.
No, that's not being there. Joe, you been to Bean Stadium?
I have.
Scott?
Nope, I have not.
It is you said tough place to play. That is very much so minimalizing it. It is a extremely tough place to go win. And when they're good and that community is showing up, it's a spectacle for sure. And this is going to be a great football game, as you said, Chris. But unfortunately, I do think that MTCS last week's game was more important than this one. And I think they know that. So I think, sort of licking some wounds after a tough battle, I think South Pitt is getting them at the right time. I'll look for South Pitt to win this game.
Yeah, I never stop at South Pitt. I always go by it.
4 shutouts and only 21 points allowed in 6 games. Their scoring to defensive margins 316 points to 21 for South Pitt. Those numbers just scream at me. And being at home, I just think it may be too tall of an ask for the Cougars.
Yeah, I think this is a statement game for South Pitt because they really haven't played a tough schedule yet. But I know this team is loaded with talent. They're the clear favorite in 1A right now. I don't care what rankings say or whatever. I'm sure they're probably ranked number 1 in the AP poll. They should be. They're the clear favorite. The Pirates are really good. This team is built around winning a state title this year. I think MTCS, I agree with Cam. That last week's game was the bigger game. If they lose this week, it's not the end of the world.
Right.
Going to South Pitt is not easy. Winning at South Pitt is almost impossible. Give me the Pirates.
Also, too, another thing, if Middle Tennessee Christian was to win this, one of y'all has to apologize to them. I don't have to. I don't have to apologize to South Pitt for anything. So
They got an apology this week. They ain't getting one next week.
No, they want a meal. Remember?
Oh,
no,
yes.
they're trying to bankrupt us. We can't do that.
yeah.
So, yeah, not happening. So,
I might be able to buy some Uncrustables or something. Not a sponsor.
MUS and Father Ryan's next one up. The fans are siding with Father Ryan, but the rest of us are taking the Owls. And this one is Father Ryan's kind of had a rough couple of weeks.
Yeah, really. I mean, this is a hangover that's lasted a long time. I've had one of those. They're not fun. I mean, this is a 2-week hangover that they've had. But MUS, you just look at what they're bringing. They're bringing in. They're a juggernaut. 145 yards passing, nearly 100 yards rushing. This is going to be a test on the Irish defense. And Brady Hughes is a heck of a passer. But I think that the strength of MUS is their 6'2", 210-pound running back, Tyler Perry. They love to run. He's like he looks a lot like Derrick Henry in the way that they run. They'll run him off the side. He'll cut back. He's a cutback runner, and then he hits that jet and goes. He's going to be really tough, and their defense is no joke. 10 sacks on the season. It's going to be a tall ask for JoJo Crump, and they're going to be all over the receivers there.
Yeah, one thing, MUS was one of those teams that, they're not in our area, so we've not been paying a lot of attention to them. But when you look at their schedule and the results in their schedule, they're 5-1. That one loss is to Macaulay, 42-35, and Macaulay's undefeated at this point in the year. So, MUS beat a really good Innsworth team last week. Father Ryan's struggling. I had to stay with MUS just because they're playing the better football right now. But as Father Ryan showed in that BA game, especially when it gets playoff time, it's going to be hard to pick any Father Ryan game because they've shown what they can do, but they've also shown what they can also do, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That went over Macaulay, or that lost to Macaulay, sorry, is why I picked MUS in this game. Macaulay's one of the two best teams in the state right now, regardless of class. I mean, Baylor, Macaulay, you got to put them up there, loaded with talent. And then MUS stayed with them step for step that entire game. It was a close loss. MUS, I agree with you, Cam. They're the D2 AAA team no one is talking about right now, and it's an issue because the Owls are putting up points. Father Ryan, I think they put up a good showing here, but I think the hangover continues. I got MUS.
And I know it wouldn't be great for us, but just the thought of a Macaulay Baylor D2 AAA state championship game in Chattanooga, that crowd will be unbelievable.
Yeah, you look at Baylor the last couple of years, or last year, and then was it Macaulay the year before? Yeah, the crowds were insane. So
the only concern I have for MUS is they have to make a second straight trip to Middle Tennessee on the bus. That they had to go to Ainsworth last week. They have to go back to Nashville with Father Ryan this week. That can get taxing, and if they're not careful, it can pop up and surprise them. But I'm starting to think the Owls have the guts to be able to do it. So I'm taking the Owls here as well. Upper Mid-Smith County. And we're split on this one as well. I think there's a theme here.
Chris.
I'm taking the Owls. Cam, for what you said about South Pitt, I'm saying the same thing about Smith County. If this game was at Upperman, I'd pick Upperman, but I'm taking Smith County for home field advantage.
That's fair. The hole was a tough place to go, but unlike that MTCS game, MTCS, I'm not sure. I don't think they've ever been there. I know for a fact Upperman's been to the hole a bunch of times, so they are familiar with the hole. And Smith County coming off, it's just so hard. They're coming off such an emotional win at East Robertson, a game where nobody told them they could win, and they were able to win that game. And this Upperman team has been on a revenge tour. Here we are, week 7, and people were talking about them at the start of the year, and then people stopped talking about them, but they kept winning. So here they are. This Upperman team is the real deal.
Matt Dyer's got one job in this. Yes, play a good game to win, but the most important is to come out healthy. Okay, and that is going to be, first got to be in the back of his mind, because in the grand scheme of things, this game means little to Smith County other than bragging rights in the area. I know, but knowing Matt, that I know that doesn't mean a whole lot. But I think that the Owls, they showed another level of their game, being able to throw last week. I just think this Upperman defense is just a little too tough. It's going to be. I think this is a very low scoring game again, 14-7, 17-14, something like that. I just think that Upperman, even though they are going to Carthage to play Smith County, I think that that's not asking MUS to drive to Middle Tennessee. I think that they can play there. So that's my reason for going with the Bees.
Yeah,
everybody in 4A is talking about Pearl Cone this year for good reason. Pearl Cone is the best team in 4A this year. I fully believe it. That number 2 team, I think, is probably Upperman. The Bees have been on a run this year, and what's scary about them is you go through the roster, these next couple years are going to be really, really good times in Baxter. A lot of sophomores, a lot of juniors. Ethan Polk, the running back, having a great year. I think he has 6 touchdowns, like 500, 600 yards. The quarterback, Bronston Chafin's doing it through the air and on the ground. I think it's a little too much for Smith County. I got Upperman continuing their run and showing that they're the number 2 team in 4A.
Yeah, and the guy that doesn't get talked about is Jackson Rollins, the senior on the team, coming off a torn ACL last year. I look for him to, East Robertson has some success running the football on Smith County, especially in the first half. I look for Jackson Rollins to take advantage of that. But you said the name, Bronston Chaffin is a sophomore quarterback that was going to start last year as a freshman, got hurt before the year started. They wound up going with a senior last year throughout the year, but he's back as a sophomore and starting, and he has the Upperman Bees undefeated here in week 7. So that offense seems to be rolling. But I do, as Scott mentioned, a low-scoring affair definitely seems likely in this one.
To me, this is almost a no-win situation for Upperman. You're the higher classification team. You're going on the road. It's a non-region game. If you suffer any significant injury in this, then what's it all for? If you lose this game, what's it all for? It's just it's a bad situation for Upperman to come in here to a Smith County team that's got a ton of momentum now. The defense is swarming all over the place. Look, Upperman may very well be the second best team in 4A behind Pearl Cone. I'm not doubting it. But for one game, I'll take Smith County at home.
That's fair.
Wilson Central at Lebanon.
Oh, no.
And remember, I've seen these picks before, all of you.
It makes it – I'm going to start texting you, Scott, because this is my toughest game to pick this week.
Why does he God, it's always the Cats. It's always the Cats.
Yeah.
We can just go on to the next one now that we have that analysis.
Oh, my God.
Sorry, Chuck.
But I could see why Reggie would make this sort of pick if he was fully aware of what was going on. Wilson Central kind of on a backslide these last couple weeks. Lebanon, I know they lost to Green Hill 2 weeks ago. Lebanon, a really good team still, despite everything they lost last year. Wilson Central struggling. It's a good Wilson County battle. I just think Lebanon has a little more depth. Wilson Central on the back end of a losing streak that I just don't see ending this week. So that's why I picked Lebanon.
Yeah,
But
now
I feel like a fool.
This is more than likely going to be a knockout game. Yes.
Yeah.
Just so everyone is aware. If Wilson Central does lose, they're pretty much eliminated at this point. Crowell for Lebanon. He was able to make a couple plays against Green Hill, but Green Hill was able to keep him in check in the second half. And I just kind of felt like Lebanon's mistakes in special teams. They allowed a onside kick. They also had a dropped punt that the punter got tackled at the 2-yard line against Green Hill. Just some things snowballed against them there in the second half. Otherwise, I think that game is really, really close. I had to go Lebanon just because, as Joe said, Wilson Central is kind of sliding a little bit. But what a testament that it would be if Ben Coon's team can find a way to win this one.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Antoine McKeith and the 5'7" junior from Wilson Central. I think he really is a really good back, and watching him run, he's quick, but he's tough as heck too. But that being said, I like Jack Kleinert and that defense's ability to control the line of scrimmage. For Lebanon at home is tough. If they get Sean Heath back in the backfield, that'll go a long way. But quite frankly, I think Coach Gentry has come up now with kind of a two-headed monster in the back at quarterback. Besides Kason Kincaid, he's got Isaiah. I'm going to butcher this, Mariah. And so he's found a 1-2 punch at quarterback that's given a different level to the game. I like Lebanon in this game, but I do think Wilson Central makes it a game pretty close for 3 quarters.
Yeah, it's a bit of desperation for Wilson Central, like Cam said, because if they lose, they're pretty much out of the running for the playoff spot, and I expect a full effort from them. But Lebanon just seems like it's a little bit better right now, and I think the Blue Devils take that one down at home. On to our spotlight game as we go honor our Helmet Madness winners from the spring in DeKalb County. They're hosting Macon County, a key Region 4-4A game up there. Battle of Tigers, but we're all taking Macon County. And as we await Reggie's pick, let's discuss this real quick. I mean, these two teams have played close games basically the last few years, and last year was no exception. It was a 7-point game in Smithville, and I feel like the way Macon County's defense has played the last couple of weeks, it's hard to go against that.
Yeah, I agree with you, Chris. JoJo Scott and that defense has been pretty tough for Macon County. They played tough against Smith County. They played tough defense against Upperman. Both of those, one a win, one a loss, but barely. I think that defense is playing well, but I think they've got more weapons than they've had on the offensive side of the ball. Gabe Borders, while he remains the main focus, he's not the sole focus. They've got several different running backs. So they've got 3 in the backfield, and also Zach Borders now being added to the team, coming back from injury. He had a big week last week, 100 yards rushing. I think Macon County just has a little bit too much, and they are playing very, very well right now.
Yeah, I mean, you said that they're more balanced on offense, and that is true. But Gabe Borders has not put up the numbers that we were expecting to this point of the year. However, I do think that changes Friday night. I think Gabe has a coming out party here in week 7 and finds the end zone multiple times, and Macon County wins by a couple scores.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Gabe Borders not putting up the numbers that we expected him to. Maybe that's a good thing. Macon County's only had 1 loss this year to a really good Upperman team, like we just talked about a little bit ago, and they're still winning games. They're finding ways to win. I think this team is really deep, but I think Gabe ends up with a big game this week, and Macon picks up a really big win.
Yeah, Gabe Borders hasn't posted the numbers because, well, he hasn't had to, because they have found help for him on the offensive side of the ball. He can focus more a little bit on defense and special teams too, because he does everything in all 3 phases. And he's still the best player on the field in this game for me. And I'm like, I think he has a big game Friday night, but certainly DeKalb County is going to be gunning for everything, because this is for playoff positioning. I don't think it's a loser is out game at all. I think that the 4 teams in this region, we pretty well know who they're going to be, and these 2 are 2 of them. So it's more about, can one of these 2 jump up into that number 2 seed possibly? Macon County has the edge there, I think. It should be a fun one over in Smithville. Looking forward to getting back over there to see those fine folks on Friday night. And Reggie, who you got?
Kiki, pick one. It appears that Reggie has made his selection. He has. And I will check and see which one he has picked right now. Reggie has chosen the DeKalb County Tigers.
Knew that was coming.
Everybody knew that was coming.
Yeah, that was a given. That was a given from the start. Well, he couldn't go wrong either way, but it's the Battle of Tigers.
Oh, it's a tiger and a tiger, yeah.
I typically really like animals, but the last 2 weeks I don't like Reggie very much.
And I don't know how he knows, but he's letting this get to his head.
He has the script.
He does, and I'm too dumb to follow it.
I just can't wait to hear Chris's excuse of cat scratch fever. Is that why he's missed these picks because of Reggie?
I swear to you, I'm making my kitten have all the picks next week, and I'm going to see how it pans out. I'm not even joking. He's currently playing with this light right now. He has maybe half a brain cell in his brain. I bet he goes 10-0.
Oh my goodness, it's too good. Excuse me.
But in all sincerity here, Coach Trapp always welcomes us with open arms. So definitely a good spot for you to be at Friday night, Chris. And they'll promote us well and welcome us with open arms. And who knows, you might even get some food out of it.
Right. Well, and stay tuned for a special spotlight film from this, because we enlisted a little bit of help this week too with that.
Yeah, I was going to say this is a Spotlight Series game. They got this is the one they were awarded for winning the helmet madness, right, Chris?
Back in the spring, yep.
Yeah.
Second year in a row.
Yeah.
So hey, everybody that's watching, in the spring we come out with a helmet madness. You're guaranteed a spotlight if your team wins. So vote away.
That's right.
Yep. All right. Before my voice goes, let's get one last word out of you guys before we get out of here.
I'll start. Oh, Scott, you can start.
No, you go ahead, Joe.
Yeah. So we hit 1,000 followers on YouTube, which is awesome. Big thank you to everybody for that. Next big goal, let's get us to 4,000 on Instagram. We've been posting a lot on there. We're currently at, as of recording, 3,964. I think we can get to 4,000 by game time Friday night. And let's just continue to push that. I think by the time we get to Chattanooga in December, we could see that number significantly grow. So just keep following. Tell your friends to follow if they're a fan of high school football in 615, and just keep on the lookout for more content as we go forward.
I'm going to make a plea. Let's call it a plea. 3 letters, LED. With all the stadium rebuilds and refurbishings and things like that, one thing that doesn't get looked at often enough is lighting. Most schools have metal halide lights. That's the old school lights. They tend not to be as good, and it's a safety factor to have good lighting on your field. But also nowadays with media and so much going on with promoting your kids and things like that, lighting is important. If you ever see the difference between a photographer shooting in poor light, where you have shades of red, shades of green, back and forth, you would understand. So, hey guys, when you're considering refurbishing your stadium, don't forget the lights.
Yeah, as Joe said, 2 words, thank you. 1,000 subscribers on YouTube is huge. That's a goal that we've had for over a year now here at 615 Preps. But the point behind us trying to get to 1,000 subscribers is this, guys. We are a non-profit media outlet group that tries to keep everything 100% free to you, the viewer and consumer. And to do so, we need your help supporting our product and getting us out there to more people. We get out to more people, we're able to keep everything free to you guys, bring you guys more content as well. And hopefully, this is, I think, year 5 for 615 Preps, if I'm not mistaken. And we can continue to grow this thing. We get more support, we get more staff, therefore we cover more games. Therefore, your kid winds up right here on the 615 Prep Scoreboard Show on Saturday. So it's all a never-ending cycle, guys, and we can't do it without you.
Can't say that better myself, honestly. Yeah. Also, thank you all for everybody who's been watching and interacting tonight. It's been fun to see the comments and all the discourse back and forth. It's always fun to have that, and we certainly appreciate that. So thank you all for tuning in this evening. We'll see you Saturday morning at 9 a.m. bright and early for the scoreboard show. Scott, last one before we go.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just want to clarify something. We aren't nonprofit by choice. We're not a nonprofit. We are for profit, but right now we're nonprofit.
Help me help you.
I just want to make sure that people understand we're not a charity. If you give to us, you can't write it off your taxes.
Yeah, there you go. It's important distinction to make there. So awesome job, guys. Good show tonight, despite my voice being less than 100%. Thank you all for tuning in and hanging around with us tonight. We will see you bright and early Saturday morning, 9 a.m. on these same media outlets: Facebook, YouTube, X, I guess we're calling it now, and Twitch. So make sure and join us for that. We'll have all the scores and highlights from those games, and we'll see you soon. Have a great week.